In conversation with Paul Sanders. Paul Sanders is an award-winning true crime author who draws on his real-life experiences as a juror to craft gritty, exhilarating tale that takes readers on page-turning thrill rides. Paul's story began in 2014 when he was first called to serve as a death penalty juror in the trials of Marissa DeVault. On the completion of the case, he wrote his first critically acclaimed true crime book, Brain Damage, Juror's Tale, The Armor Killing Trial. Now the author of multiple popular true crime books that tells the spectacular stories of some of America's most high-profile murder cases. Paul hopes to entertain and enthrall his readers with larger-than-life characters and explosive tale that bring every case to life. Paul hosts more than 45 awards for his books, including Gold Medal winner eLit Award in True Crime, Silver Medal Reader's Favorite Nonfiction Historical, Bronze Medal Best Book Award in Law, and numerous book festival awards. Paul has made numerous TV and radio appearances, including on NBC Oxygen Snapped and ID Discovery's Conned. Paul has also been a guest on True Crime Radio, Trial Diaries, Hot Shater, HLN, and Fox. He was interviewed on Law and Crime by Aaron Keller, the infamous journalist on the Netflix documentary Making a Murderer. Paul served as a trial reporter for Trial Talk Live during the coronation murder trial of Mitchell Anderson. When not writing or making guest appearances, Paul can be found enjoying the quiet life in his wonderful home of Seattle, Washington, with his beloved rat dog Robin. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today Paul Sanders. How are you doing, Paul?
Good to meet you, Peter. Good to meet you. I'm doing very good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's quite lovely actually to have you on the show today. It's nice to meet you too. I'm quite excited. We're going to be having a lovely conversation around your crime thriller novels. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, Paul, I want to first say that I am taken aback and I am really seriously taken aback went into the discussion page of your trunkload of books you've got on Amazon. But one that particularly stood with me that I'd like us to start today's conversation with. It's a crime thriller novel in the name of Brain Damage, a Juror's Tale, The Armor Killing Trial, which was a first book in the Juror's Perspective series. I would like to ask you, how does this book come about? What inspired you to write Brain Damage?
Started it from to be a official jury notice to be a juror.
Oh,
I did not know I would write a book.
oh, wow.
And the book is Brain Damage, a Juror's Tale. And it's is true crime and it's nonfiction. In other words,
Oh,
it's
wow.
it's not fiction. It's from my experience to be a juror. In 2014, I got
Mm,
my juror notice. I have went to many I went to court many times. I got one of those.
mm.
But every time I was never picked. For years, I was never picked. So
Wow.
when I got this, I went to court and I did not know it's gonna be a death penalty trial. I had no
Wow.
idea. I got and at the it took a month and they picked out the jurors who's gonna hear the case. And I
Mm,
was picked number 13. And I didn't
wow.
expect that either. And I thought it was only 12 people to be a juror. So why am I at 13? Because they pick alternates, but the alternates are not picked until the end of the trial.
Mm,
And you're picked from a lottery, and I was picked of one of 12. So
wow.
even though my number is 13, For some reason, I was one of those people who was picked to be 12. So that trial was almost 6 months long.
Oh,
And I've never been in a death penalty trial. I've seen it on HLN, CNN, of people who've been a death penalty trial.
mm,
I never thought I would get picked at all.
mm,
After 6 months, eh, after we made the sentence for Marissa DeVault,
yeah,
we had said, I'm not going to tell the end of the story about that book,
yeah,
but I asked the judge at the end, I said, Judge, are you good if I write a book about this trial? People should know what a death penalty trial is
mm,
from the juror's perspective. And the judge asked the lawyers,
mm,
both sides, and he said, Are you, he asked them, Are you good with writing? He writes a book about this. Are you good with that? And the counselors said, we're good with that, judge. It's one thing to say you're going to write a book. It's a whole different thing to actually write a book.
mm,
And I'll tell you something. Uh, people, they will tell you, oh, I want to write a book about this and that and that and this.
yeah,
Only 1% of people will write a book. And I'm
yeah.
one of those was 1% who did it. And that was Brain Damage, A Juror's Tale.
Oh, wow. That's such a lovely, beautiful introduction into becoming an author. Yeah, that's a lovely introduction into becoming a writer. I enjoy you talking about it. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Now, you also have the follow-up book to this series in the name of Why Not Kill Her? Jodi Arias' Death Penalty Retrial. Now, for readers who haven't read it yet, and of course without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we'd expect in terms of themes and subject lines, picking up Why Not Kill Her? And that's such a beautiful title. Please raise it to the camera properly so we can. Oh, yeah, good job. Interesting.
Yes, it's kind of a big book.
Voluminous. Wow.
It was a big trial too. So
Wow.
when I finished Brain Damage
Yeah.
and I was writing the book, I look on CNN and they said there's going to be a second trial about Jodi Arias. And
Mm.
I kid you not, I said I should be there. I should be
Wow.
there in a gallery. I'm not as a juror, but I was thinking if I'm going to write that book, I
Mm.
want to tell the readers what it's like to be a juror. So I did it from the gallery. And that trial was 6 months long. And that became Why Not Kill Her? A Juror's Perspective. And people really love that book. It's not my favorite book.
Mm.
It is not my favorite book. It's the victim, and the victim is it really hit my heart.
Wow.
The whole trial, it hit my heart. And that it became people really love that book. It's from the juror's perspective.
Oh, wow. That's amazing, really. That's really amazing. And Yari, you talk about the jury's still so far. I'm tempted to ask, I know you've talked a bit about it, yeah, but then I'm still tempted to ask you, are your stories fully real life experiences? How much of fiction or versus reality is embedded in the series book? Is there a ratio or it's entirely nonfiction?
It is all of them are nonfiction. except for Victim or the Crime. In Victim or the Crime, we'll talk about it later.
Hmm.
That book works with nonfiction from a true story, but I had to do fiction, and that book is a little different from my other books, but
Oh,
all my books are nonfiction.
wow. Interesting. That's such an amazing genre to write in. That sounds amazing, really. Oh, wow. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, sir. We're talking about fiction or nonfiction.
Yeah.
See, I've been a writer my whole life, for my whole life. Even when I was probably 10,
Yeah.
I was writing. And I
Oh.
always, and every day I would write. I would read, and reading is very important. And for my heart, I thought one day maybe I'll be a author.
Oh.
So, in it would be 1986. I
Wow.
went, I wrote the first of Victim of the Crime. I
Mm.
wrote it in 1988.
Oh.
And and then and then give me that. And then here you are. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I went to auction for New York City.
Oh.
Auction.
Yeah.
I thought I would make $1 million. On October Halloween
Yeah.
1988,
Yeah.
the book went to auction. It went to Warner Books. It went to Crown Publishers. It went
Wow.
to Simon and Schuster. It went to
Wow.
Dell. It went to Signet. And on that day
Yeah.
for the auction, they put, they said it was a really good book. It was a really good book, but people don't like the Grateful Dead, even though
Oh.
my son is a Grateful Dead fan. In
Oh.
other words, they said no, we're gonna pass.
Wow.
I quit writing for 17 years. I
Wow.
became a restaurant manager for 17 years for Rainforest Cafe. I opened stores around USA. I opened stores. 17 years later,
Yeah.
I woke up and I realized I was not happy
Mm.
because even though I quit writing, in my heart, I've always been a writer.
Mm.
And I realized my life, I was not happy. You know
Mm.
why? I wanted to write a book
Good.
again. And I did. In 2013, I wrote a book.
Oh, Treasure Hunter's Guide.
It's about
Interesting.
Hot Wheels.
Oh.
And I quit my job. I told them a month before, I said, I'm quitting to be a manager. I'm going to be a manager, and or I want to leave. And they corporate wrote and they
Uh,
said, what? Why? No, we'll give you more money. And I said, no, I want to write a book. And like I said, when we talked about brain damage,
yeah.
it's one thing to say you're going to do it. It's another to do it.
Actually
And
do
I
it.
and I did it. It
Oh, wow.
wasn't until a year later when I got the juror notice. And that's how it started with brain damage. And then why not killer? And then the next one we'll probably talk about is
Mm.
banquet of consequences.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's my story about being a writer.
That's a very great story you've got in there. I'm so excited you shared it with us. I'm so excited you follow your passion, your desire, your art desire to becoming a writer. Because all those years you were working at the restaurant, being a store manager, it keeps ringing in your heart that you need to do a book. There is this urge that comes in one's heart that once you now get it realized, you're like, oh yeah, I'm now satisfied. I finally did wrote the book. I am now an author. I am now a certified writer. I'm now happy with myself. There's this urge that keeps, even still till today, I still feel I need to do more. I have so many books I need to write screaming in my head. And if I don't do that, I won't be entirely happy with myself. I won't be satisfied. Each book that I keep pushing out is a satisfaction for me, is a release for me, is an ease for me. Yeah. It's beautiful that you share that story, and I enjoyed it, and I can also resonate with it, even as a writer. Thanks for
Thank you,
sharing.
sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks for sharing. And now, Paul, one of the most interesting things to me as a writer is to listen to readers' feedbacks. And you may want to agree with me that one of the things that make literature to be complex in its entirety is the fact that it can be interpreted in different ways by different readers based on their opinions. Sometimes the readers might get the message intended by the author, and sometimes they might be close to getting it, and sometimes they might be far from getting it, and most of the time they might be hilariously, they might misunderstand the entire message. As interesting and fun as it sounds, I would like to ask you, how do you feel when readers interpret your works differently than you intended?
First of all, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. The hardest thing about writing a book is the first book.
Mm,
The second thing, my books is not about me. The
mm,
beautiful thing is nonfiction. And the thing
yeah,
about nonfiction, the truth never changes. That's
absolutely.
the beauty of do nonfiction.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they understand by the end where I was going to. So the
Mm,
book is the other thing that I'm grateful. The first time you get your first review from Amazon to get one, and then your goal to get five and maybe 10. And yes, probably 90% of people, they'll give me nice reviews. But there's one or two or five people who say, I did not like that book. But you know what? You know why I'm grateful? Because they read it. So they may have a different feeling.
yeah.
Fact that they read it, I'm good with that. And it's
Yeah.
not an easy thing. It is not. You have to do the punctuation. It
A
has
lot.
the sentences has to be perfect. Um, you have to bring from your heart. And for me, my books, it's not about me. It
Mm,
is about the trials, but my books is for the readers.
interesting.
And that's the important thing to
Oh,
me.
wow. I love your take on that. I really do love your take on that. Thank you so much for mentioning. It's a beautiful feeling. Like, I mean, your book have grown to having like 200, 300, if I'm not mistaken. I think the last time I checked, yeah. Some of your books have 303. I see one of 200 and something reviews, yeah, etc. It's a fun thing to get such beautiful feedbacks from readers.
Really is. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah. Thank you. So, Paul, what is your new book, Victim or the Crime, the Day Before Jerry Died, about? Would you like to tell us a bit about that? And also, how did you come to terms with writing in this particular genre? Beautiful cover you've got.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, like I told you
Yeah.
earlier, victim of the crime. Okay, actually,
Mm.
I wrote some books. This is my new book, Victim of the
Oh,
Crime, The Day Before Jerry Died, a Grateful
yeah.
Dead thriller. Remember, I went to auction 40 years ago, 45 years ago. I went to
Yeah.
the publishers and they said, no. Where did that book come from? That's from a true story. And I do
Mm.
two stories at the same time. And one of
Wow.
those stories is it's scary. It's from a true story.
Mm.
Um, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
When I was 14,
Yeah.
I put my parents, I put them to court for domestic violence
Oh,
because my parents beat us. And I went to court. I'm not going to give the whole story,
yeah.
but at the end, I went to jail for a year
Wow.
when I was 14. And the thing is, the truth never changes, but
Wow.
the court thought I was lying. So when I came an adult, it bothered me. I don't know why, but I was a writer and I wrote that book in 1980, 86.
Wow.
So in 2018, I had a stroke and
Oh,
I've already published a couple of books by then. And then I had a stroke, and the doctors told me I will never read again. I will never write again. And even though you're a famous author, you will never publish a book again. I
wow.
am grateful for the doctors who helped with my stroke, and it was a bad stroke. I was in the hospital, and the thing is, again, I'm grateful for the doctors, but do not tell me I can't do something. And after my stroke, Secret
Secret
Life
Life of a
of the
Juror.
Juror, why dear.
Wow.
After my stroke,
Yeah.
they were right. I cannot write and I cannot read. But the
Oh,
thing is, I've been an author as a writer all my life. When when the COVID hit, I and we all went to our rooms. Remember, we couldn't go anywhere. We had to have masks and
yeah.
everything. I was in my room and was crying. I was sad for me after my stroke, and
Mm.
it hit me. I said, you know what? I've written books I've never published, and it's in my closet.
Oh, wow.
That's when I pulled out Victim or the Crime. And then I edited. I got an editor. I had a line editor, which is
Mm.
my wife,
Oh,
and
wow.
we pulled that book out from the dust and it became Victim or the Crime. Like I said, I'm not going to tell the whole story about the
Sorry.
book because I don't want to ruin for the readers.
Mm.
But that book has gotten, I kid you not, 30 awards.
Wow. Your story is quite inspiring. The story is quite motivating, even despite the fact that, you know, despite the challenges and obstacles, you still went ahead and get it done. That's an amazing story you've got in there. Fully and shocking to believe. Yeah, that's the right word I love to use.
And the thing is, I've been talked to writers for years and years and years and
Mm.
years. And the one thing people say, they say, I'm going to write a book. And the thing is, if you talk to them years later, I'll say, How was that book doing? And they have excuses. I'm not about excuses. I'm about
Action.
finish the job.
A lot of
And
people
you
have
know,
excuse. Yeah,
you know people like that.
yeah, absolutely. A lot of people have excuses. Oh, I'm trying to finish my degree. I'll do it when I'm done. Oh, I'm currently working 5 jobs. I don't have time to write. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm so busy. I so many excuses, so many excuses. It's always good to take the action to just do it. Do it and get it off the track and jump into the next, project. No, 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 no. You keep going from one to two to three to four to five. Before you know it, you've got a dozen books and even more, yeah, on the internet space. Thank you so much, Paul, for sharing. I really enjoy you talking about it, and it's nice to listen to you having this lovely conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Another question I'd like to ask you, Paul, is the fact that I've always, I know you've talked a bit about this too, but then, your third series, Banquet of Consequences, A Jury's Plight, A Jury's Perspective, have received so many awards. Would you like to tell us some of this award and how they make you feel?
That's two questions at the same time. So some of the awards
Yeah.
uh, I've gotten, I'm proud of I got a gold medal for Paris, and we
Wow.
didn't expect it. And I was so,
Imagine.
and it's out of US
Oh,
in
wow.
Paris. I'm proud of that. I did Hollywood Book Festival,
Mm,
um, Wild Card, Unpublished Stories, Fiction, and an award for that. American Writing Awards
mm,
2023 last year,
mm,
and I got an award for Victim of the Crime, which suspense, mere mystery,
mm.
thriller, and adventure.
Wow.
One more, Reader's Choice Book Contest, uh, mystery and murder,
Mm.
thriller. And remember, I have 45 awards. Now, the second question about that, how did I feel? The first time I got an award, and you applied to be to get an award, you applied. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people applied.
Submitted. Yeah.
The first time I got an award, I went to my house, I open the mail, and I'm like, what is this box? And I pull out one. Sorry about my back right there,
Oh,
but right
wow.
here, it
Wow.
was the feeling is so amazing. And the first thing I did when I opened and that award, all those years writing, 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 getting to be an author, putting it on Amazon. Those are all steps, lots of steps. But
Mm.
once I opened my mail and that award, I couldn't say anything because I was crying. I
Oh,
was
wow.
just crying. And it just, there's so much work to writing a book. And it's one word at a time. At the end, when you finish a book,
Mm.
and then you have to fix it and make sure all the pieces and just to publish it yourself, it's a lot of things going on, a lot. But when I got that award,
Mm.
my heart, and I still almost cry. And so every time I do get an award,
Yeah.
I am grateful. But it tells you that your work, it's you go to a different place, and it's nobody can ever take that away.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
the thing about awards.
Oh, wow. That's very amazing. And I can relate. That's such a beautiful feeling. It makes you excited and it also inspires you to do more writing, to write more, and to give you the assurance that, oh, yeah, your works are receiving accolades, they're receiving recognition, they're receiving an award, and it's a testament that you're doing the right job and that your work counts and that your work is impacting lives, and that people are enjoying the stories, and that you should keep on writing. It's like a go ahead. It's like a boost of energy. It's like an energy drink, yeah, that gives you more power to continue. That's just a great one. Congratulations, and then
Thank you. Like I said, I'm grateful, but I'll tell you, it's a lot of work to get an award, to get to there. That means it's going to be a lot of work. And the thing
yeah,
is, you start from the beginning to the middle to the end. And I'm very, I just very careful about writing. But
interesting.
don't be scared to be writing. Just write. Over time,
Mm.
over time, you'll learn over time. It has awards for your art.
Interesting. Oh, wow. That's very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, apart from the books we've mentioned so far, do you have any other works you've authored or say currently working on? I am ready.
I got a couple of them. That's one thing
Yeah, you
is
can show them to the camera
I
one after the other.
I am also a storyteller.
Oh,
I'm not Stephen King, but I'm working at it. Okay.
oh,
And the thing is, when I finish a book,
mm,
before I finish, I think about what's my next book going to be.
to be,
So
wow,
we talked about Hot Wheels. I'm going
mm,
to republish that book about
wow,
Hot Wheels. It's going to be called Hot Wheels in the Wild, 1995 to 2024. It's called Treasure and Super Treasure Hunts.
mm,
It'll have all the pictures. Our next book is going to be Beyond the Pale, Rogue Juror. It follows the book Victim Banquet of Consequences. The
mm,
next book is going to be Limousine, a rear mirror from a chauffeur in LA. And then it's from a true story. It's stories when I was a chauffeur. I have
mm,
people like Bruce Springsteen. I've written Presidents. I have so many stories. So that's going to be a book. And then another book is called
wow,
Petition, a Confession from a Dead Man. I used to be, when I was young, I worked as a funeral place and I was a mortician. And I
oh,
did that for about only 3 years. And then let's put it this way.
yeah,
I learned they were doing things it was bad.
oh,
And I was on the cover from the LA Times because I reported them to the police.
oh,
And that's going to be that story about that. So,
oh,
yes,
wow,
I have more books coming.
oh, wow, oh, wow, that's a lot, really. That's quite amazing. You've got a lot in common there.
For a writer, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
I learned this years and years and years ago. I can't remember who said it, but
Mm,
it hit me in my head.
yeah.
Somebody said, if you're really a writer, first of all, you have to write. But the second thing is, if you're not writing, you're
Mm,
thinking about writing. And I think God gave that to my heart that if you're not writing, you're
Mm,
thinking about writing, and it's
absolutely.
24 hours a day.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate and enjoy your take on this. Now, before we call it a day today, is there anything that you would love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview and you'd love the viewers to know? Is there anything?
Well, I'm on Amazon, Paul Sanders. I also have a website. It's
Mm,
called paulsandersbooks.com. I will write other books. All I want to say is I've done the work. I
mm,
just need the right readers to read it.
mm.
And I am grateful. I am honored. And if you do read the books, the best thing for authors is please make reviews
Yeah,
on Amazon.
yeah. Very important. Yeah. Very important. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Paul Sanders' books directly on Amazon and Barnes& and Nobles on his website and also on other platform. I also left links to his social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Paul, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. I must say it's awesome, and it's even more than awesome having this conversation with you around your titles. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Peter. I was honored to meet you.
My pleasure as well.